Welcome to the Boston's Big Four podcast. Cast. New news about music and sports every week, sometimes.
We are back, episode 87, Boston's Big Podcast. I'm thrilled about this one. I can't even lie. This is pretty exciting. We've both been Spose fans since 2010, I think. I have, at least, since high school. I'm Awesome was obviously the first song I heard, but I just looked the other day. I found in a Facebook post I posted "Can't Get There From Here" back in 2011 and tagged all my friends and said, "Check this dude out. He's from Maine." So that's where it started for me. And it's been quite a journey since then. You've dropped a lot of projects. What can you tell us about kind of that initial stage, I'm Awesome, the success that it had? And I've heard you talk about that song before, how it's kind of been a blessing and a curse. So we'll start with that song. We'll talk about that song and the impact it's had on your career.
And is that actually the beginning, or is that really your?
You had an album before that, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess just to real summarize to get you to I'm Awesome. I'm Awesome happened very early in my career as a rapper. Like I literally had started rapping in 2008, or I started rapping years and years before that, but I put out my first album in 2008, February 2008, Preposterously Dank, and I put it out locally in Maine, and I was just getting started. Like I was just got my first album out. I maybe sold 200 copies, reprinted it, maybe sold another 100 or so copies of this album. And so I had like a little local love, locally. And then so my next thing I go put out is this song, I'm Awesome, which is, we're like 1 year into me being like trying to do it. So it's like, I've never been on tour. I have very few, I don't know anybody in the record industry, like I'm just getting started. It really, and so I put out the song I'm Awesome, and it blows up, becomes what's funny, because like as we have this conversation, that shit is popping up in my memories, like my Facebook memories, and my like, Instagram, or I'm sorry, like Twitter memories and stuff, like all these posts from that time. So this week, 11 years ago, I'm Awesome debuted on the Billboard chart at like number 34, and it was like a whole paragraph about T.I. and me debuting. Like T.I.'s back on the chart because he's out of jail, and a Maine rapper with his modest single I'm Awesome debuts at number blah. Is like he moved 33,000 singles in the first week of its release. And so I was like, which is crazy. And so it goes from me just trying to do it locally, and it's awesome. These are all new highs for me. I'm like playing my first show, with Leeds down in Boston. Like, I must have rapped for like the people performing at the show. Like it was a Tuesday night in Cambridge, and there was almost nobody there except like the dudes performing and their girlfriends. And there's like, and Leeds has everybody paying to be on the bill with like 10 opening acts, and I was one of them. And I got up with like my hype man, Mackenzie, who was like this kid I worked with. He was my drummer in my band too, the Danks back in the day. Mackenzie and me, we get up, we spit these songs, and we impress all the guys who are at the show, all the other acts and all the other Boston DJs and whoever's in the building. And Leeds and the sound guy goes to Leeds, and he's like, yo, this kid's actually good. And so these are like big first moments for me, you know, and then like I'm playing the University of Maine Farmington, and that was as big as it had got, at that point. Like I played in my hometown, I played in Portland. I was starting to meet people, but like I was not ready to sign a record deal. The problem with that is I was 23, 24 at the time, and I had just had a baby, my first kid. I just had a kid in this time when I'm 23, which is, life changing anyways. I drop out of college. I'm like on unemployment, and I'm working at the same time, which is illegal, and so I'm doing all this, and we have our baby, and I'm trying to go back to college or whatever. And then I'm Awesome blows up, and I get offered, a record deal, which, even just I signed the first offer on the first deal. It was like, I was so broke. I was so fucking broke. I was saying to someone the other day, I was like, before that record deal, I'd never had $2,000 in my bank account.
Right.
At once. this was like this. I had a kid and I had no money. I was overdrafting. I was like debating, like asking family members for money, to like survive at that point, And so, so I'm awesome. I signed the deal and I start making the album for the label. And so throughout the year, the single does great. But the whole time they're just waiting for the second single. What's the follow-up to I'm Awesome? It's like, okay, Macklemore, here's your thrift shop.
And
what's
this is
like, where do we go back?
Yeah. So this is what you spoke about on Pop Song, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I wrote about that on this song, Pop Song, which ironically, I got one of the major companies to fund the video for shitting on the other major company. But
that's fun.
Nice.
But yeah. So I lost the deal and I made Pop Song about that kind of. And so that I look at all that experience, all that getting thrown out on radio stations across the country, doing interviews on all these different stations, all these new highs, new feelings that are that a lot of artists, work for years and years and years and years and then get that thing. Yeah. I got that thing way too early, to like truly appreciate it for what it was and to understand what it was, because I was naive. I was young and I was naive and I was desperate for money too. And so, so I look at that year that I was signed to Universal Republic, as like college for the music industry, like crash course in the music industry. So then by the time you do me a big favor and you share Can't Get There From Here, a rap song I put out on my own, and a video I paid for with $5,000 I had from my record deal, which is way too much to pay for that video, by the way. I noticed that everything goes up when you're on it's like, oh, we'll just throw this guy $2,000 for this $200 beat. Yeah. It's stupid. I was stupid. And so, so anyways, but you shared that video for Can't Get There From Here. And that was my life or death moment in the time where there wasn't really Instagram popping and there wasn't really, definitely wasn't TikTok or anything of the sort where you can kind of just like grow off your personality. It was like you need to share content, and so.
And was this just to clarify, this came after I'm Awesome, right? They approached you after the success of that song, and then we're kind of like expecting similar material.
Well, in a way, but kind of incorrect, because it was like I put out I'm Awesome independently on my own, and then they came in, swooped in, and were like, "We want I'm Awesome," and they bought I'm Awesome basically off me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so and snapped their fingers, and Monday morning, March 5th, 2010, that song's on every radio station in the country because they add this label's songs.
Yep.
That makes sense.
They had the Taylor Swift song, the Weeknd song, so they had the Spose song. It's like a reciprocal relationship with radio and them. And so anyways, so they put that out, and then yes, it's like, okay, where's the second single? But because the single did so good contractually, they had to pick me up for the album. They had to be like, yes, we exercised the album portion of your contract. Here's another $75,000 they sent me, to start the album. And so I'm making the album, and then I get dropped because we never make the big, like I said, the second single that solidifies the artist beyond the like, here's a funny song.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's what most people know of me, think of me, judge me as, if they've ever heard of me at all, which
right.
And
so, I think that's why I shared Can't Get There From Here, because I wanted to show my friends that you were an actual rapper and not just a parody rapper. Like,
well, that means everything to me, man. That you doing that, and maybe 0.6% of the other people who ever heard I'm Awesome doing that allowed me essentially to start my career.
Right.
As running my own business as an independent rapper, which I've done ever since, basically. And so that was like the life or death moment. And for most people who would have been fans of me if they had just heard the stuff, if they had heard
exactly
from me, if they had just heard the rest of Happy Me, if they've heard Christmas Song, if they had, these other things. And so, most of them didn't.
Yep.
And so that was how I started from the ground up, kind of, it's like back down to the ground and then you start from the ground up.
Right.
So you mentioned that working with that label was kind of like college for the industry, and now you're running on your own label. Can you have you taken any of the things you learned from that time and did you kind of mold that into your own thing, or did you really start ground up, I guess, sort of like tooth and nail fight your business into what you've made it?
No, I'd say 100%. I took all the lessons I learned from that experience.
Yeah.
I think some of them are kind of these big, because honestly, man, that was like a big existential crisis moment for me. I was 23, and I'm like, which is way before anybody normally has this reckoning with like who they are and what they're going to be, and so like, I think I failed in a way. It's like, I didn't know how to be true to myself in the midst of all of this need for a big second single. I didn't know how to stand up for myself in studio sessions and be like, no, we're making a fucking Spose song. This isn't like a song you could pitch to Jason Derulo. I'm not trying to write one of those. I'm trying to write this. I didn't have the balls or the wherewithal or just the experience to know how to do that. And to even craft the vibe of who I'd have if you got all this big major label money, you and your management or your team or whatever, and your rep at the label can dictate where all that money's spent. Like, I could have been smarter with I didn't know any of that, and so, and I didn't know that, like, it also was a weird time in the music industry too, because like two artists I consider around this time that were coming up right when I was coming up, that had interesting trajectories that I learned from, that I wish I had known like years before. One of them was Drake and the other one was Mac Miller. At the same time as me, Mac didn't go major label. He didn't go major label when he had all the buzz and he was on all the blogs and he was making, and him funding his own videos, just doing these little DSLR videos, which became the standard in the game. Like, that became the game for like 8 years, was like Mac Miller doing those videos, and then Odd Future, like all these things happened in that like 2010, 2011
we were just talking about this, I think, on the last episode. 2010, well, I think we said like 2009 to 2012. So many artists came up around that time that are big now, like Nipsey Hussle, Drake, Big Sean, J. Cole, like Kendrick. Like, they all came up in that time. True. It's crazy.
True. And it's like, so for me, like, the big ones that I learned from are not even artists maybe that I so much listen to all the time, as artists who I watch their career and how they moved, and I think another one that's almost the opposite example is B.O.B. Yeah, remember B.O.B. was this big underground.
I used to be a big B.O.B. fan until he said the earth was flat.
Well, and so, and good for B.O.B. I mean, B.O.B. is probably doing fine right now.
I'm sure he is.
If I'm doing fine, he probably is too,
I'm sure he's doing great. He just lost me with that.
But I mean, he did what everybody did in that time, which was sign the big major label deal, do the like pop rap singles. That works if you're like Fat Joe. That doesn't work if you're actually, it's like it's almost like a deal with the devil for B.O.B. It's like everybody knew him for these hit singles and he did the major label thing, but you could tell that he was always trying to backlash against it, and reclaim his career, in a way. And so like I was watching all those dudes and how Drake was independent for a minute. It was like before, what was Drake gonna do was like the big question, and just watching the way they released content and watching the way they released mixtapes, not major label albums. And you didn't need, and so, that all kind of dictated what I did there going forward with my career once I kind of had the reins again.
Right. So then you dropped Happy Medium in 2011. Talk about that album and what that meant for your career.
Yeah, that album, I mean, that was a real dark like place for me, man. Like when I dropped that album, because like I just lost the deal right before I thought I was about to drop my major label album. Lost the deal. I did a pilot for MTV that I got because of I'm Awesome that didn't get picked up. So I had all these like almost highs, and then I was like real low. And like I was like spending my money kind of recklessly and like not super recklessly, but I was just blowing through the money because I thought there was more coming. I was like, I'll buy, oh, they're dropping some Supreme sneakers, let me buy those, like whatever, and we're going out to the Wells Beach Steakhouse all the time, like, and just and just living great because I just signed this deal and like whatever.
You're the king of Maine.
You deserve to live great.
I mean, we all do, but yeah. So anyways, I dropped Happy Medium after I get dropped, and I just remember it as like such a sad, it wasn't like a great moment, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I lost a deal. What songs do the label not own? Let me throw them together. Pop song can't get there. Luckily, I still had classics, you know, on deck, songs that pay me to this day.
Yeah,
you know, on that album.
Great album.
Thank you. And so luckily they didn't own those songs, you know, so I put those out. And, you know, some people like you, for example, were fucking feeling it, you know, and came to support me. They came when we put out We Smoked It All 2 mixtape after that, you know, and then, but the big turning point for me, which is the first album I really made after all this, that I wholly made from the jump, after all this experience was, and I had like issues with my wife even in this time. Like it was a real crazy time. You know, and like it was just sad. It was like a sad time. Yeah. So to bounce back from all this stuff and start writing this like really honest album about it, which starts with like, if there really is a big fluffy Jesus in the clouds, let him know right now that I take it all back. Like to start writing that album, you know, that was like, in my eyes, like phase 2.
Right.
Yeah. That was like now we begin again.
Okay. So before I had heard you, I don't think I knew of any rappers from Maine, to be honest.
How many do you know now?
I know a few now, actually a good amount now. A lot I've learned through you. Shane Rise, Cam Groves, Jay Spin, Sarah Violet, all them. Yeah, there's a whole gang of them now, but it started with you. So before you, was there a hip hop scene in Maine? Were there rappers in Maine that you knew of?
150%. Yeah. I mean, it was, but when I was coming up, man, I was in Wells, which is a town probably like half an hour south of Portland. So we only have like 10,000 people in our town. And Portland's like Portland and Portsmouth, New Hampshire, are like the nearest, you know, spots where you could go find people who want to rap. And so like there was a website called MaineHipHop.com that was out when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I'd go on MaineHipHop.com as like a forum, and I'd like post my songs and I'd meet people on there. And so I'd go up to Portland and I'd rhyme with them. And so I met these dudes, you know, there was this rap group called Abador, but it was Abattoir, which is like slaughterhouse in French. That was like their rap name. Okay. These dudes are like serious MCs. Like these dudes are rapping their ass off. And it's like, it's almost like Jedi Mind Tricksy kind of vibe, you know, but they're all rapping. And this one kid, Ghost, you know, invites me up and I go rap with them. And so right out the gate, you really had to be able to rap. It wasn't like there was a low standard of rap around my parts. It was like, damn, those guys can rap. There's a lot of freestylers, battler cats at that time who could rap really well in Maine as well. You know, but what a couple big things happened in hip hop from Maine. The group Anticon, which is like a underground hip hop collective, mainly associated with like San Francisco, Alias, Soul, you know, all these dudes are from Maine. They're Mainers. And so so Anticon's from Maine. So I knew that coming up in high school. I'm seeing them in magazines.
Yeah.
Anticon. I know these dudes, they went, you know, they're from like Gorham or like Wyndham or something, you know.
Interesting.
And then this rapper Poverty, who's now Tommy Kane, he signed he was a really, really good, he just was like shitting on me recently, so I hate to even give him these props. But like he was Poverty, and when I was in high school, he was a great rapper. He could rap his ass off, and it was right around the same time as Eminem. So everybody's looking for the next Eminem. And so he gets signed by like fucking somebody huge, like Jimmy Iovine or something signs him, you know, the deal. And so he gets the $1 million early 2000s advance. He blows it all, buys the Escalades. He makes an album. He's got songs with Alchemist. He's got songs with Jay Dilla.
Wow.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
I was not hip.
Some of his stories are not true, so I don't know if all. But
so, what if someone takes that advancement money and just buys like investment property? Does that ever happen? Do people do those things?
Smart people, I bet Chance the Rapper did that when he first got like Apple money. You know, smart people do that. The problem is the industry and American capitalism are all predatory towards like people our age. And so, I mean, Kendrick talks about it a lot, specifically in from Kendrick's perspective, he's talking to black people, but he's talking about how Uncle on track 1 on To Pimp a Butterfly, about how America victimizes, us for our debt, to get us in debt, to and all this stuff. And so, I think the game's all rigged to get us all the young artists to get pimped out, blow all their money, not realize that the deal's a trick, not know that they should buy investments and properties and, assets. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think because you mentioned owning your masters is really like bottom line. That's the key to collecting all the money you can get. But I just also wonder too, like, there must be some labels aren't all evil, but there is like an extent to which it's better for the artist to not be with a label, but obviously like the traction that they can give you is totally different. But I did cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. I mean, that's another great point. Nowadays it's much different. In 2010, well, that's kind of why I brought up all those guys, Mac Miller, Drake, all the B.O.B. is because that all changed the industry. The industry's been so different in my 10 years. But the advantage to that, man, is that my whole life, just as like I'm 35, just my whole life coming up, things changed constantly. Things always change. So I'm always ready for the changes in the industry. But like, I think my generation specifically is very like skilled at adapting to change, because I even just like VHSs to DVDs to Blu-rays to
smartphone, like we didn't have smartphones 15 years ago, which is insane.
Exactly. And so as it shifted from, I've been in almost like 4 different levels of the eras of the way the music industry works now, from CDs to the iTunes era, which is like 2011 to 2015.
Yeah.
And then the Spotify streaming era, that is now morphing into this other like TikTok era, and so it's just been wild. It's been fucking wild. But I mean, I look at all, I just keep doing the same thing though. So it's like, I don't know if I'm making the right move. Like, I haven't grown the fan base to this astronomical, Gillette Stadium level that I saw in my mind, even though I'm always trying to, and so I wonder if that's held me back, that I kind of stuck to this plan of, here's a really in-depth album I've put out my heart and soul into over and over and over again. But I also noticed from Kanye, all the money is outside of music. All the rich rappers you've ever heard of are rich from other shit.
That's true. They like to make you think it's all from the music.
Maybe it is if you own your masters, but it's like nobody was talking about Jay-Z being rich, from music. He was rich because he sold drugs. And then he was rich because he sold Rockaware.
Right.
It was like,
Dr. Dre, Beats.
I was watching an interview with Rick Ross the other day. He owns like a bunch of restaurants and stuff. Like he owns
Wingstop, right?
He owns Wingstop, yeah, and Checkers and Rallies too.
Yeah, that's where the money's at. So after this next album, I'm fucking done rapping for like a year. I'm just doing other shit. I'll get way richer.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's funny you say that, because now I'm really thinking about it. I just heard like Waka Flocka was on a podcast talking about how he has many different businesses going on. It must be very common to have. I mean, what is the saying? Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That doesn't apply to any one business, or any business. You want to just have everything you can if you're able to do it.
Flocka.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
I was a big Flocka fan back in 2012. Back in my party days.
Flocka beats.
You rapped on a Flocka beat?
Just for like a mixtape.
Oh, okay.
I think I even put it on it. I have it somewhere. But yeah. Because that was who was hot 2011. Walker.
Right. But you do have a mixtape. You do have a mixtape that's all Outkast beats, correct?
I sure do. Yeah.
Stankonia.
That's a special one. I wish I could put that on streaming.
I wish you could too.
It's
but obviously you can't. But yeah, obviously you're a huge Outkast fan.
Yeah, I actually released that on I believe it was October 31st, 2013, the day the Boston Red Sox won the World Series.
Nice.
I think I put it out. I was like, Red Sox won. Here's Danconia. I was planning to anyways, but I made it feel, it worked.
Yep.
The whole city erupted that time. That was nuts.
Yeah,
People were like climbing on light poles and stuff.
Oh, I missed those days. Social distancing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Can we do that
I
again?
can't wait to riot again.
Right.
There
Oh
were
man,
2 riots that year because they rioted. Not
there's
rioted,
been a
but
lot.
we partied after the Boston Marathon dude got caught. Everyone in the
I
city
remember
went
that.
and
I
partied.
remember
Yeah.
that. That was fun.
It was a big Boston part. I was just thinking the other day, I remember the day they like locked down Boston to find that
yeah.
dude? It must have
Oh,
been
yeah.
that day or the day before.
It was within
was
that week.
insane.
Yeah. It was so annoying. And being in the city, because I was in dorms that like you couldn't go like to just a different dorm. You had to stay where you were. So some kids were like stuck in other dorms. It was very weird.
Yeah, that is weird. So I was driving home from tour. I was like, it was like I just finished tour like the day before somewhere, and we are driving back to Maine, and we drove through all that section of Massachusetts because I like took the wrong road. I ended up on 90. I forgot to like go by Worcester or whatever. And so we end up driving through all that, and it was so weird and like surreal. There's nobody anywhere, nobody on the highway, nobody on.
Yeah, and they were like doing random searches too. Like they could have stopped you and just been like, "Are you the guy?" Because
I look a little Chechnyan. You never know.
Yeah, anyone that just had a little bit of long hair, you were suspect. I mean, that was a crazy time. I mean,
that was.
COVID's a crazy time, but that was also a crazy time.
I bet crazier times are on the way.
I'm sure. It's only going to get crazier.
That never settles. It never seems to completely settle. Right when you think it's chill, we start worrying about turtles, and then everything gets crazy again.
I wish I could just worry about turtles, man.
Yeah.
Right?
When things are good, you're just kind of like, oh man, we got to save these turtles that seem to be getting straws in their nose. I don't know.
It's like, 55 people dead at the at the fucking Apple store.
Yeah, it really puts the whole turtle thing in perspective.
Yeah.
Look, I want to say turtles. I'm busy.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Walk slow.
Humanity is just one big government. And it's like, we're going to get to it, but we're not really sure.
I don't know what you meant by that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
Bureaucracy, dude. Red tape.
All right, you're losing me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, so you're a huge Celtics fan, obviously. Massive Celtics fan.
I am.
As am I. When did you become a Celtics fan? What was the first season you can remember that you were really engaged with the Celtics?
Well, so what really got me into the Celtics was the year we came back against the New Jersey Nets
in 2002.
Yes.
Yep.
That was like the first time I remember consciously like looking when the Celtics were going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of from there through the Paul Pierce era, I went to college in Boston, 2005, 2006, 2007, that whole time, and so I lived in the North End, and you could get $10 balcony seats to see the Celtics play.
Wow.
With like our student discount or something, and so we'd buy 10 game passes and we go watch them lose by like 2 or 3 points every single time. Paul Pierce trying to will us back into the game with free throws and missing one, and like, and so
I remember those days.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was really into the Celtics then, really into and stuck with, obviously. And then what happened from there, I remember we got Rondo, and that was like I liked Rondo, obviously. That was cool. But then, the year we got KG and Ray Allen, Eddie House, James Posey, we got all these people in 1 year. It was like, it was just incredible. So that was, I was already watching all the games for the most part, but that year, obviously, like just Celtics became like
because they were the worst team in the league the year before that. So that year, just like everybody was on board. People who hadn't even watched basketball before were rooting for the Celtics. Like, it was great. I loved it. Wish we could go back to those times.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's a little bit like, and this is probably going to get me canceled. It's a little bit like 9/11, where this big thing happens and it's this crazy, you think it's a forebearer of things to come. So you're always waiting for it to happen again.
Yeah.
Thinking we're going to win another title, thinking we got
And
it.
we're always close. We're always in the conference finals. We're always, we've had so many close calls.
Yeah, I'm always waiting for that next big attack, big, in a good way though. It's like it's the opposite of 9/11.
Right.
I follow.
So thanks, Owen. So but yeah, I mean, I just fucking love the Celtics. And I mean, I've been aware. I was born in July 1985 is the year Celtics lost, I think, a title to the Lakers.
Won the next year.
It was right in this era. So you couldn't grow up and not be aware of Larry Bird. But I mean, in the mid 90s, Celtics sucked. And like
the 90s were a dark time for the Celtics.
Yeah. We should have skipped the 90s. And so I had Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, David Robinson jerseys, Muggs Bogues, type of shit. So, but I was always into the NBA. But yeah, for me, and basketball is the sport I like the most anyways. Like, I just love basketball anyways. I like football a lot.
You play basketball at all?
I played up until I was like 10,
all right.
So that was it. Like, I played soccer, and in the winter I didn't play. And then in the spring I'd do like track or lacrosse, so I never, but I did play basketball with my friends after school, a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but I almost wish I could like go back and redo it now, knowing what I know about basketball. Cause basketball is really a thinking game, and like, I love playing basketball against someone now after having like even my neighbor, like we have a little hoop. We go play he's actually a really good basketball player. I'm bad, but I'll play some good defense. Yeah. I'll try to, and even with him, I realize now, just the inherent basketball player instinct of, all right, let me see what this dude does. And then start taking it away. It's like he does this, oh, he's got that move. Okay, well, I'm ready for that now. He did that on me. It's like, I know that now. I wish I had known that like growing up, about basketball, because it really is kind of breaking a player down. And, and also, the ball movement stuff, like even just, drawing defenders over here. Oh, that opens up this guy, easy bucket,
because when you're young and you're playing, you just want to score. You're just like, every time you get the ball, you're like, I just want to get my shot off and score,
Yeah. And maybe I'm using a pick at the most,
right.
Like, yeah, I just fucking love basketball. I might someday, like in my old man years, like coach like my kids' basketball team or something.
There you go.
Because I feel like I could do it, but like, I also don't want to do any of that shit. That's so much work.
True.
Celtics this year, I feel like we should talk about.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna win the championship.
Well, I bet money they will every year.
Oh, okay. Every year you do that. All right.
So I've lost money.
Yeah, you have.
I've won money on like individual games where I'm like, oh, we're gonna, like Celtics gonna beat the Rockets by 12, like a couple years ago, and I'll win like $5,000 on that. So that I feel like makes it's like I might be even maybe, but I'm probably in the negative. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. This team, I'm a little mad. I'm a little mad at fate, and I'm a little mad at like the fans for the Gordon Hayward, Kyrie, Terry Rozier, Al Horford window of opportunity that we squandered.
What do you mean? You're mad at the fans for what?
Well, well, here's the thing. I think Kyrie Irving, how there's that quote that goes around every now and then that's like, I am going to re-sign in Boston after this season.
Oh yeah.
Kyrie. Yeah. He said that at the like, the season ticket holder like event before the seation.
Right.
And then he said that to dead in it, right? He said that to be like, okay, guys, let's focus on basketball. I'm gonna resign. So we don't need to talk about that. And then constantly the media every time asking it, oh, what's the point? Yeah. We didn't stop asking him about it, so it pissed him off, and he doesn't want to talk to the media now. Now and it's pissing him off in general that the media is in the locker room, and then he's isolated from the team because he's He doesn't want, I don't know, but I feel like we squandered the whole Kyrie era. Gordon Hayward getting injured is really the death of the Celtics championship hopes. The NBA was wide open. I felt like we could have got right there against the Warriors,
I agree.
Declining Warriors.
And that was 5 minutes into the first game that happened. That was a heartbreaker.
My wife took a picture of me and I'm just like this.
Yeah.
And she posted it. It's like Gordon Hayward broke his leg like 20 minutes ago. And I'm like,
still, yeah.
I mean, I think everybody was like rewinding. That was like the craziest shit.
I was driving. So I was listening to Grandy and Max on the radio. And Max immediately was like, his leg's broken. Like he just knew right away. So once I heard him saying that, I was like, how is it that obvious that his leg is broken? Then I saw the footage. I was like, oh yeah, it's fucking broken.
Woo!
I would love to see like the numbers though of how like the forces, because it just folded, there was no like resistance. It just went straight down.
Legs are not supposed to, ankles are not supposed to bend like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
You ever seen those videos ESPN does that are like really scientifically impressive where they calculate like he's at a 30-degree angle here. His chances of a catch are, 1.8%. His speed is whatever, and they show you all like the math of it. They could do that for injuries too.
Yeah.
I want to watch that, but
I mean, I just am so curious because of all the times like that scenario happens where someone just kind of like flails and lands on their back and nothing happens, or like, all of a sudden just directly straight on a leg and it goes like that. It's like, whoa. Oh man.
Jaylen Brown constantly, I feel like Jaylen Brown all the time has these landings that look
I agree.
Oh God, like, and then perfectly fine. He's like, it's like he's just super athletic, I guess, and his body can handle that because he goes crazy.
Yeah, he does. He's a little out of control sometimes.
Oh, I love him.
He's great. I love him too.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just did a tennis check. I can't believe this.
Oh no.
So
how'd you get into tennis originally?
So my aunt always used to watch it when I would go over my dad's house. My parents were divorced, so I'd go over my dad's on the weekends, every other weekend. But my dad lived at my grandma's house. So my aunt would be there. Like all sorts of people would be there. My aunt was always in the sunroom watching tennis. Like just not always watching tennis, but like when the US Open was on, she'd be watching that.
Yeah.
Or the Australian Open, And so, from her, she explained the scoring to me, like the 15, 30, 40, deuce scoring. And the games and the sets. And so
always confuses me, the scoring, to be honest. Like, because don't you say love on a certain one? Or is that if there's
zero? Yeah, it's zero.
Yeah.
Love is zero. Right.
Yeah.
And then it goes to 15. Right?
Yeah. Then it goes to 15. Then it goes to 30. Then it goes to 40. And the next point wins it. But if the other player gets 40 when you get 40, it's deuce, and meaning you have to get 2 points to win. So if you get 1 point and then they get one, you're back at deuce, and you go until someone gets 2 points in a row, basically.
That's
record? A game.
Has that ever gone like a whole day of people just doing that back and forth to each other?
Deuce, dude. Yeah. Well, they have this new thing where I think it's the French Open, some tournament, a bunch of tournaments have it. So you play in the last set. If it's a tiebreaker, you play until someone wins by two games. And so one game ended like 29-31. Like they had to do 29, like it's almost like a tiebreaker, and they had to play it 50 times. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But yeah, so I got it. So she taught me the scoring. And then in high school, I played intramural tennis a little bit with like my girlfriend. Like we'd get high and go to intramural tennis and play tennis, with other kids. And then, but I was really into, the characters, the Andre Agassi and, Leighton Hewitt was this like cool Australian player at that time. And then
Roger Federer.
It was too early for Federer, but I did see like the early beginning, or Pete Sampras was the big one at that time. And then, I saw the beginning of Serena and Venus Williams, who were these two girls from Compton.
Right.
Like the year 2000, 99. Like,
and they're still doing it.
Woo!
It's unbelievable.
So yeah, that's fucking, I mean, that's Tom Brady. What's crazy is there's like 4 consecutive Tom Brady's in tennis right now with Serena Williams, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, and Venus Williams is still going, but all her titles were long ago, you know?
Yeah.
But really, though, my interest in tennis is a lot like, say, for example, like the Celtics are going to play the Mavs tonight. Say the Mavs were on last night and they're playing against Zion and the Pelicans, and you see that game's on and you're like, oh, I'll watch that. Celtics got Mavs tomorrow. They got Doncic and Zion's on that team. Lonzo, Brandon Ingram. That'll be entertaining to watch, right? There's storylines there. There's implications for you. And so the same thing for me in tennis is like, I got some favorites I like. I like Rafa Nadal. And so through watching Rafa, I've learned of all these other players, and then I learned of Andy Murray, this player from England who was ascended to the top of tennis, and so like I followed Andy Murray's career, and so if I see Andy Murray's on, I'll watch Andy Murray, and so it's not like I'll just casually watch every fucking tennis match. I don't care that much. But like, for example, there's this girl, Bianca Andreescu, who's this 19-year-old girl from Canada who's playing right now. And I have the window open like next to our Zoom window, and she's playing against this chick, Sorribes Tormo. I've never watched Sorribes Tormo before, but I'm watching her because she's playing against Bianca Andreescu, who won the U.S. Open, beat Serena, and is intriguing to me. Yeah, so it's like now I know about her. So if I see her match on, I'm at least like deciding whether or not I fucking watch that. Right. And so really, and then there's exciting players. There's players who are volatile and spaz out, and there's.
Oh yeah, there's some psychos in tennis.
Yeah, they're fucking.
John McEnroe is wild.
John McEnroe is wild. The present day person who's like that is this guy Nick Kyrgios. He's Australian. He's a Celtics fan. He rocks Celtics.
I like him already.
Yeah, but he's from Australia. But he is also known to rock a Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey though. So I don't know. Okay. But
playing both sides.
Not denying his greatness, but But yeah, so this dude Nick Kyrgios is fucking throwing chairs, talking shit, telling dudes in the crowd he's gonna fuck his wife.
Oh my god!
Like, he's he'll do if he's in a bad mood, he'll do an entire game where he just like hits it wrong just because he doesn't care.
John Daly of tennis. That's hilarious.
Dude, yeah, and so if I see Kyrgios, but at his best, when this dude's locked in, this dude is right there with Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, whatever. So that's why I can't miss a Kyrgios match. I can't, if I see I'm scheduling my day around it, to watch that match.
Interesting.
Those
are the best people. I love attitudes.
Oh, absolutely.
Zlatan. I love Zlatan because he talks shit like that too. I love any NBA player that talks that shit.
That's why I loved Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
I'm reading his book right now. It's so good.
I need it so bad.
Great.
Yeah, you got to read it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I fucking love KG. So that's mainly my interest in tennis is just like fucking I knew how it worked, and I just happened to be alive during the greatest era in tennis ever.
Yeah.
I feel.
Right.
So I do want to circle back a little bit. You mentioned your band, the Danks.
Now you have a band, the Humans, right?
Correct.
So I was gonna ask, when did you start performing alongside live instruments? Like, was that constant, or did you kind of start that way and then get into the rap? Like, how did that evolve?
Yeah, I definitely started in a band playing instruments and then got into rapping. And so in high school, or even before high school, in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I was playing guitar, and we had a band called Fight Shirt that was me, a couple of my homies, Zach Boston, Matt Sampson, and Zach Moulton, 2 Zachs, and me, and we rehearsed at his mom's house. Our parents would drive us over with our equipment. We'd load it all in, rehearse. We played a show. May 5th, the year 2000, played a show, and then our band, they kicked me out of the band, replaced me with Josh Hayes.
Oh, fuck Josh.
Dude, yeah, fuck Josh Hayes.
We've been saying that since day one. We don't like Josh. We've never liked him.
Much love to Josh Hayes, who actually he deserved it. He deserved it. He's a better guitar player than me. Andy's a better skateboarder. He was just cooler in 8th grade by far. He could skate
okay.
so much better than me. And so anyways,
sick.
yeah, he's
So
he's
sick.
so sick. I hate it. And so, yeah, so from there I go on to basically start rapping. And well, first I started making songs that weren't rapping with just me on the computer, you know, like recording. Okay. You know, and then I started rapping, and then the guys in the band and I started rapping together as like a rap group. And so we made 3 albums in high school as the Frothy Four, you know, was our
Frothy Four.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's such a high school name.
I mean, we're making 20-song albums. You know, we're printing them up at the fucking print shop. We'd walk there next to Dairy Queen, print the labels. You know, we're selling them in school for $10 a piece. You know, and so
That is awesome.
So we were doing it early. I mean, this was like, we were very inspired by like D12 and like Eminem and you know, and so it was all like I fucking rape your mother, your brother, you know, I took the body of the cupboard. I'm with the chainsaw, you know, like is.
You still have any of these recordings? Any CDs left over?
Many.
Okay.
I'm not getting them out. I hope they don't make it out. If they make it out, I can never run for governor.
Do you plan on running for governor?
I hope not. Don't let me do that. You ever see me doing that? Talk me out of it.
All right.
Did you guys ever beef with like other crews early on? Like
I still got beef with this dude. So when we were 16, the only place to put out music in the year 2000, there was no SoundCloud, no Spotify, no iTunes, no. I don't even know there was no MySpace, no Facebook, no anything. So the only place you could upload music that people could go press play on somewhere else was your own website or mp3.com. So we uploaded all our Frothy Four songs to mp3.com, and our location was Wells, Maine. And we were ranked as like the #1, you know, artist in Wells, Maine, Frothy Four, you know. It's like
nice.
But then there was this other guy, or it was like York County or like whatever, you know, and then there was this one other guy, his name was Obese.
His name was Obese.
Obese. He was this dude. And so I think he was fat. And so
I hope he was. Otherwise he's
so he rapped. And he had this other dude named Rapper Jones. This guy was named Rapper Jones. And so Jones and Obese made some songs, and they made a song dissing us because we were #1. They're like,
oh, no way.
You're not #1 in York County, you know, it's like whatever.
Oh no.
So we made a song dissing them back called No his name was Obstacles. Now his name is Obese. Nowadays his name's Obese. At the time his name was Obstacles, like obstacles with a Z. And so we made this song called No Obstacles. It was like we were fucking his mom. We were, you know, it was just
man.
It was classic D12.
Yeah, it was exactly. We were 15. We're 15. I always say, like, if we had YouTube, if YouTube had existed when we were 15, we would have been so famous. We would have been like Odd Future, because we were just so fucking stupid and didn't give a fuck. Like we were we were saying the most horrible thing, you know, we're cooking dead babies, we're killing like every race of people. It's just
Jesus Christ.
It's awful.
Oh,
whatever
man.
would make, we're talking about fucking like dead people. It was like whatever would make Sticky One laugh was what I would write. But also it was all stupid references to like Harry Potter and like, you know, like Darkwing Duck and like whatever stupid, like, you know, Ja Rule said this, you know, like
that is so funny.
Mystical, we had like 3 songs based on how much we wanted to rap like Mystical.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this was the stupid shit we were doing just for entertainment. So it was like music was always just fucking fun. This was like hilarious.
Right. As it should be. Be.
And so that's almost like what I've been trying to get back to recently. Not so much killing everybody, but being like a genocidal lunatic rapist. But you know, just getting back to doing it for fun. Like, was that fun? Did I have fun doing that? Dope. You know, like that's it.
Right.
You know, whereas a lot of my life as a musician in the past 10 years has been based on like, how did it do commercially? You know, how did that sell? How did this show go? How, you know, is it worth making this video? You know, how many views did the video get?
Yeah.
Do I still like it? Am I mad about that song because of how people perceived it after I put it out? Whereas now my thing is just like, I enjoyed making that. Let's make another one,
Yeah, that's how it should be.
And I can understand it's probably like how you got to where you are too, because the like anxiety of like, is this good enough? Was that received properly? And like all those things that you're thinking about. And then you get to a point where you have an audience and you can totally have more fun with it. And people are just, they're looking at you to get a view into your world anyways. So the more you can kind of show of you having fun, that's what people really want to see. And that'll get a much larger, I always find the biggest anything I ever see, like I love that you brought up Odd Future because I've shouted them out several times on this podcast. I just love that. Like they're a bunch of friends having fun and they're all doing well. Like it's just,
that was great. Odd Future was amazing. It was like a breath of fresh air.
It is a game changer. I mean, I'll never forget the moment I saw the Yonkers video by Tyler, the Creator. Everything changed. The whole game changed.
Yep.
It felt like the first big game-changing moment since the College Dropout, which I think was the last big game-changing moment after the Eminem era. When Kanye put Freeway and Mos Def on the same song and
that album changed a lot of things.
Merged the underground with the industry. And then Odd Future, Mac Miller, that era took the industry out of it altogether. And brought it back to kind of just being you, and also circled back to like, the almost like skateboarding culture of like Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. Like it was already there. Like that was already hip hop, And so, Odd Future, even for me, who was older than Odd Future at the time, they were like 18 at the time or something. 19. And I was 25. So I felt like I was too old for Odd Future in a way, or whatever, but I was very inspired by it to the point where I went to see Odd Future that first tour right after Yonkers when they played the Paradise in Boston. And I'm up on the balcony watching mosh pits come back to rap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is it. And I saw him at the State Theater in Portland, Maine. And even just the energy, I think the kids saved hip hop. Like I think the younger kids saved hip hop because it was at a breaking point where it was like, how much more gangster and blingified and Dirty South, Cadillac rims can we be before it's a parody of itself, almost. And so when these kids come out just wearing regular old t-shirts, skateboarding, rapping, being funny,
and just acting crazy,
going on Jimmy Fallon, jumping on the desk, wearing masks.
I remember when they came to Boston and they had their pop-up shop, and then they somehow got onto the roof of Newberry Comics, and they're like running across the roof, and everyone's going crazy. Oh my God!
That's it.
Yeah,
oh, man. And so I'm just so inspired by them, man. And so I've followed Tyler, the Creator. Tyler, the Creator understood visually the stuff I'm starting to get now about videos. He understood it from day one, like his color schemes and his like everything. He was always so smart and hands-on. He was doing the video, doing the beat, doing the whatever. He understood the vision for Tyler, the Creator, and he never compromised it. I say to this day.
Oh yeah, he's unapologetically himself all the time, and there's no one else even close to him, like personality-wise, music-wise. He's definitely got his own thing.
I just saw the poster for Bonnaroo today, which they're going to try to do in the fall, and it was like Lizzo, Tyler the Creator, but Tyler the Creator is like the bigger name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like that's where he's at. He's at like that size font is like you're like Adele, Billie Eilish.
Yeah, he's up there.
The Foo Fighters. You're like, that's who you are to be right there, so good for him.
So
definitely earned it.
3 years ago, I think you put out Humans, an album that you made in 24 hours. How did you come up with that idea?
I don't know. I came up with it, and like I come up with a lot of ideas, but
they just happen.
The ones that I follow through on, I remember the moment I like follow through. So like I sent an email in February 2017. I forget what year it was. 2018, 2017.
I think it was 18.
Okay, so February 2018. So like 8 months before this day.
Yeah.
Send an email to, first I reach out to the studio and I'm like, John, I got this idea. Could we book the studio for a whole 3-day stretch? 1 day to prep, 1 day to record, and 1 day to mix.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to go all night, 24 hours. I want to have tons of people. I explained it all to him and he's like, yo, let's get it. And I was like, send me a rate, and so I put a down payment on it. So it's happening, regardless, and so then I send an email, like a mass email to like 60 musicians I know and I like, and I have good relationships with and have non-bad vibes with.
Yeah.
In Maine, mostly artists who are in Maine.
Right.
I definitely reached out to a few artists outside of Maine too, invited them. Yeah. But I was like, I understood they probably couldn't go. And so we did, so that day.
Did Chris Webby end up on that album? I think he was on one song, wasn't he? Or was that a different
He
album?
wasn't. I think I talked to him about coming.
Oh, okay.
I bet if I did it again,
yeah,
I could get some heads through, people have said that to me before. They're like, hey, if you ever do that again.
Right.
So I get, at this point though, in my life, I've managed I've done tours. I've done large Christmas concerts where I manage maybe 30 people or so, a lot of emails in advance, a lot of emails with the venue, a lot of checking with people, so I'm at this point getting pretty good at my organizational skills of managing people, I think, and so I'm feeling confident enough that I could pull this off. You know what else I'd also done at this point was I'd made the app. I made a mobile app.
I wanted to ask you about that too.
And since I have done that, I feel confident that I can manage making an album in 1 day.
Yeah.
And so basically the day comes, but the thing was, the stipulation was we can't come in with any demos or ideas. So there was really nothing I could do in the days leading up to it except schedule people and figure out who's coming what time of the day.
Right.
All right, so so-and-so's coming through. Like, for example, B All, the rapper B All is this rapper from Maine who good kid, and he was coming through, but he couldn't come through till like 10 p.m. So I knew B All was coming at 10 p.m. after we started at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know to preserve some sort of beat or energy or vibe or something for him at that time, or some sort of room, because this studio has like 8 different rooms you can be in.
Okay.
Not every room is a full-on mixing console studio, but it's a room that's soundproof with a desk and whatever, and we got laptops, so we're making music in 8 different rooms.
Yeah. And
so I'm setting up like writer camp, basically, like Dave Gutter, Dave Gutter, Dan Boyd and the drummer, John Rudes from Rustic Overtones, the piano player from Sly Chi, who I used to play with, was in a band that backed me up, and this other guy. I'm like, yo, everybody go in this room. I got this idea for a song that's called Humans, and it's like lions and tigers and bears. There's only one thing that's got them all scared, humans. And I was like, the vibe would be like David Bowie, Modern Love. I played it on my phone. I was like, I'm like telling him that. And so then I give it almost like a teacher would be like, all right, you're this group A, your assignment is this, boom, go. And so they go off and do that. Then I go in this room with this other keyboard player, saxophone player, bassist dudes I know. And I'm like, all right, I got this other idea for a song because I've been thinking of them now all morning since I woke up.
Right.
And so we make this other song. And then I plant enough seeds around the studio that morning. I'm like, you 3, I got these 3 ideas. Go take them up to this room, see what you come up with. So by this point, I've now set into motion like 10 or 12 songs out into the studio that are like ideas to like even just like a vibe idea, like, yo, you two, see what you guys come, like Channing and Dave Gutter, they went and made like 3 or 4 beats. Like Channing's a producer, goddamn Chan, and Dave Gutter's a guitarist. Dave Gutter could play fucking anything. And so
from Rustic Overtones, right?
From Rustic Overtones, exactly. And so Gutter's my dude at this point, but we had only made music, just me and him solo, but I knew what Dave's capable of. So all day I'm taking advantage of Dave's skill set and putting him in positions to succeed all over the album.
Yeah.
And so then I get it to the point where by about maybe like 2 p.m., I'm in the studio, I'm in the car, hiding from all the studios, writing verses to all the songs that they're Dropboxing me to my phone, just to be out because I'm too easy to distract. And also if I'm in there, I'm in charge. So someone's going to ask me something,
Right.
And so long story short, man, by 6 a.m. we had made an album. It's called Humans. And my goal was just something that could hang with the rest of my catalog, and I think we more than pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you surprised with the outcome? Did you think you would be able to do it?
Yeah, I was confident. I was definitely confident. It definitely wasn't the album I thought it would be in my head before going into it. Like I was envisioning this whole other vibe.
Yeah.
And so, but what's cool about it, man, is we made it all in one day. So it was like, by the time I reheard it all on Monday, it was all new to me. It was like the first time I'd ever heard a Spose album the way someone else was.
Yeah.
Or close to it. I was like, damn, like, oh, we made it's crazy. It's insane. And I was so proud of the level of musicality to it. I wish I could have had another week on it. Obviously, like it would have been a whole different album by then.
Right.
But like, no, I'm so pleased with it, man. I really just think it stands the test of time, and I think it's like, and you know what, man? Above all, kind of circling back to what we were talking about like when you're a kid, why you get into start making music, and then like today, and then all of it is that day that we did that. We all had the most fun ever.
Right.
It was the best shit ever. It was everywhere. It was the greatest shit ever.
It was the greatest shit ever. Avery
Uh,
Bradley game winner on LeBron.
LeBron, exactly. And then that happened.
That did happen after you made that song. I remember that.
I mean,
I remember when that shot happened, and I was like,
Speak it into
Spose wrote a song
existence.
about.
wait till you see all the shit I'm gonna predict on the new one.
Word. So talk about the app though for a little bit, because that was a really cool idea. I'd never seen anyone do that before. You put out an app ahead of the Good Luck With Your Life album, and there was a game on the app. I played the game, and you could unlock songs before they came out.
Yes.
And that's an idea you came up with on your own.
Yeah, I came up with that in probably 2016.
Yeah.
And I and I made it happen. Basically, I came up with this idea that like I would make a game, and when you beat a level, you would unlock a song on my new album, and I really, I mean, I guess I could spend forever talking about this app, man. I think the thing it really boils down to is I had an idea. I saw it through. I made this app. It's called Spose the King of Maine. You can still go download it and play it. I'm very proud of it. It's like a very impressive feat. Like it's an impressive thing to pull off. I can't believe we did it. I did it with these three programmers who are all like 19, 20 years old at the time. This kid, Brad Oakes, this kid, Marcus Gosselin, and then their leader, who I hired him and he hired them, was this kid, Quentin Campbell. And so I'd make songs, and then every day I'd go up and I'd get with Quentin Campbell, and I'd go sit in his apartment with him and his girlfriend. They're in college, and like I'd go sit in the apartment with my laptop, and I'd program the app, and he'd program the app, and I'd link with Hanji, who was doing the art, who's this girl who's her and her husband do this thing called O-Chang Comics, O-Chang Studios. It's like South Park on YouTube, kind of, but Maine. And so I'd known them, so I hired her. It was very expensive. I probably spent, just out of pocket my own money, like $32,000 making the app.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so I did that, and then I put it out, and I really was pretty confident this would just like blow the doors off for me. Like I was like, this is going to change everything. Everybody's going to be hitting me up, realizing I'm a marketing genius. Hey, would you market the new, Adele album, Spose? You're such a genius. Like, I can't believe you came up with this app. We want an app. How do we get an app like that? Can we hire you guys? Like that's what I think's going to happen. And I'm like, oh, and they're all going to be like, this is the most revolutionary way to like release an album ever. Like, who's ever thought of this?
That's what I thought.
And so certainly there was a bit of that from the people who know me.
Yeah.
Everybody who already knows me hit me up and gave me love, which is great. But the whole point of it was to reach new people.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it achieved that goal. really for the most part, maybe a few people. There's definitely a couple articles that got written about me that were like, whoa, this is, whatever, but it didn't do the seismic, type of life-changing thing I thought it would. What the life-changing thing it taught me was $32,000 you could just go buy a car like in cash.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, that's like a down payment on a small house. Like that could be anything, but
yeah, man. And
you don't have to spend that on physical assets though. It's money well invested on that experience.
Yeah. And I learned a ton. That was like another version of going to college. It cost like it was too, and like, because I learned how to manage people. It was the first time I'd ever had like people under contract getting paid out of my pocket on salary, basically per their work, managing animations. I'd never managed like animator files and they're called sprites in a game, and you make a sprite and then it's playable within the game. I learned coding. I learned this app Unity. I learned how to test a mobile app on I still have like Android cell phones laying around over here that I bought just to test the app, so I learned a ton, which I still use and apply today. But I think the big lesson I learned is I shouldn't spend that much money on marketing when there's cheaper ideas.
Right.
Personally. Unless someone else is funding it. I have more app ideas. I got more. I just don't have the fucking time or patience or like the willingness to risk my money as much.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was genius.
Thank you. Yeah. I did too.
It definitely was. I mean, I'm surprised other artists haven't caught on to that. Has anyone else done that since you?
Some people have done. So. Some people have done. Yeah, no, somebody did, but it wasn't as good.
Yeah.
It certainly didn't have a whole fucking album.
Right.
Wasn't out yet. That was like the big bait was like, yo, this is
being able to unlock the songs. Like that's what drew me into it. I was like, oh, I want to unlock the songs.
And it was really 3 apps in one because it was a store. It was like a store you could buy credits and pine cones and unlock all the songs. Yeah. That's one app. And then there's the other app was a music player. It had its own built-in music player with a pine cone currency system to play, the collect in the game to play the, it's crazy. Yeah. And then the game itself is a runner like Mario.
Yeah.
Which
you got to get Dunkin' Donuts iced coffees and stuff like.
Yeah, and also, at this point I'm studying video games. I'm studying games. What makes you feel satisfied when you get something in a game? I watched whole fucking TED Talks about this shit. So it's like I'm always ready to educate myself on something else, something new. And I think that's a curiosity I hope will stick with me my whole life till I'm old. And I was even just the other day.
I don't think that's going anywhere at this point.
No.
That's just who you are.
Yeah, but that's the fun part. I'm realizing that's what's cool. That's what life's about. It's like, I learned even just like making a song is learning a new thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I love learning a new thing. And that'll always, I think, keep me excited. And so the app, and I'm ready to risk my time for the for the enjoyment of that. It's like I like doing that. I like making stuff, in the time it takes. Like I just made a music video last week, and it took me a couple weeks leading up to the music video preparation. I was really focused on this. I'm ordering shit, I'm drawing shit on paper, I'm a lot of text messages, and then I saw the video today, and I was like, did it? That was fun. So it makes all that stress of it worth it. Sometimes, but it's not about putting the video out and seeing the public reception to it. It's, oh, I had this idea. I made the idea. That makes me happy to see the idea. I had fun making the idea. That's the thing.
Right before the interview, right before you came on, we were watching your commencement speech at Wells High School from 2018.
Thank you.
What did that mean to you? What did that mean to you to be asked to come speak at your high school? That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it meant a lot, man.
Great speech too, I have to say.
Thank you, man. It meant a lot. It was almost like it was almost like a real full circle moment for me. You know, obviously, like coming back there is kind of obvious, but just it kind of was like the validation of it all. You know, it was like all I was trying to do was impress those people anyways, you know.
Right.
So to get to ask to come back, and then, you know, a lot of my life is very self-aware of the, you know, perception of me or whatever. So I would just assume going in, you know, as I'm writing that speech, I'm aware they think I'm some dumb rapper, you know, if they don't know me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this is 10 years removed from when I was in high school, if not more. So it's like, I don't know most of these people.
Right.
You know, I don't know a lot of these parents whose kids are graduating this year.
Doesn't everyone in Wells, Maine know Spose though? Wouldn't you think?
Sure. But I think a lot of them might just know I'm awesome because it's the same way as like the rest of my stuff is like there's definitely a percentage of people who know for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe a higher percentage than a lot of places. But you know, a lot of these parents are, you know, these are like people I don't know, you know, and so I really felt, you know, that like a type of energy going into the speech that I had people to prove wrong, which I guess is kind of my like underlying motivation all the time. But like, you know, I wanted to give a good speech, and I also wanted to subvert the expectation of a graduation speech too. It was full of all these like basic like quotes, you know, and like boring shit that like doesn't apply, or like not keeping it real.
Yeah.
With the kids, with 18-year-olds, you know, because it's like
like when you were like, for most of you, everything goes wrong in your 20s. Like that was the realest shit. Because nobody's gonna tell you that.
Nobody tells them that. Isn't that crazy? It's like, oh man, and they're going, and I bet if. But
it's like if they know that, they're gonna be ready for it, and it's not gonna be as terrible for them.
Man, well, that's exactly it. And so that's what I was trying to give them was like legit. I mean, honestly, I said to somebody told me they're like, I go back and re-listen to it.
I do too.
To remind myself of the things you said, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I always listen to the part where you're like, when at all possible, like try to be happy right now. Like, and you talk about like, people are always like, oh, I'll be happy when I get out of work or when I lose 10 pounds or something like that. That's my favorite part. I think about that part a lot.
Thank you, man. And I mean, that's a person. I mean, that all just comes from like me struggling with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I learned my own mechanisms for whatever, and that's just me imparting it on everybody else. But like, yeah, man, I one of my like a transformative moment in my life was in 8th grade. I had this teacher called Mr. Peliquin, who was also my soccer coach in high school. But he was my English teacher, and he started assigning us essays. It was the first time I've really been assigned like a full-on essay. You know, like up until 8th grade, it had been like, oh, a book review, what, you know, small writings, maybe like a you know, one of those like boring research papers with all the citing the bibliography or whatever. But this was like a opinion essay. Like, how do you feel? How do you feel about this? You know? And so this is the first time I got to do that. And he started signing those, and he had us like read them in class. And I just remember everybody like listening intently as I was like reading mine in class, and him being like, yep. You know, he's like, and then the next essay, and he'd be like, Ryan, you want to read yours? And I was like, yep. You know, I definitely wanted to read mine. And so then there was a speech competition that year in Maine called like it's called the Civic Oration Competition. And so like everybody you do your speech in front of the class, and then they pick like the top whatever's in the class, and you go to the school, and then you go to the, you know, if you win the school, you go to the York County one. If you win that one, you go to the state one. And so I went to the state competition, doing the speech competition when I was in 8th grade. And so when I was writing the graduation speech, I was thinking about that. I was like, yo, this was like the full circle moment. I now know how to give a speech. I've done a lot of public speaking now. Like I'm gonna, like, this is me going to win the state competition, you know. It was like this speech. But I was so nervous about it that like I wish I could go give another speech to do an even better one.
I thought it was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
He'll probably have you back.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I pulled up an old tweet of yours.
Nice.
From 2018. I just wanted to ask you about this. You said when you're 8, because I always remember this tweet. You said when you're 18, consider getting a small business loan or buy some land or a parking lot or something. Probably a safer investment than college. Elaborate.
Elaborate. Ooh, you guys are good interviewers. Yeah. I mean, that I'm not saying don't go to college in your life. I'm
Just not
saying
when you're 18.
I'm saying it might not be the smartest thing to do at 18, given what it costs. If you could get a full scholarship to a college at 18, go to college, because that is a bargain.
Yep.
Most people can't. Most people end up in a lot of debt that the job they get out of college doesn't pay enough to pay off the debt before you start owing all this money on the debt. You're thus in the debt cycle at like 19.
Yeah.
You can never get a leg up. You can never save, unless you maybe get more college, and then and then the next goal is, buy a house. That's another debt. That's an asset that can grow. But once you pay off a 30-year loan, like, you're in debt, if you've got a house, basically, and so, so at 18, not to say you don't buy a house at some point, not to say you don't go to college at some point, but just consider that at 18, that's not the smartest move. You haven't even had 1 year of full work yet to save money to have a foundation to build on yet, before you start taking gigantic risks like $100,000 loans. It's like they don't pitch that to you enough as the gigantic risk it is. And so yeah, I mean, I got kids. I was talking about, like, my kids, like, I'd rather you take out $150,000 small business loan, try to run a business and fail at it, even, than do that. Because you're going to learn so much about how the real world works. Like, you can go to college all you want, but then when you get into the place where it's like, oh, now I got to pay taxes on this, this, and I got to do salary. It's like,
college doesn't necessarily prepare you for that at all.
No. So the real fucking world does. And so it's like, if you can just throw yourself into that, but even just acquiring, assets at that age, like a parking lot, for example, I said, like, land, like, stuff like that costs less than college.
Right.
And so it's like, I mean, some people, I started a business with, like, I started the business Spose with like $1,000 maybe, it's like, less than that. It was $750, so it's like, if you could get a $100,000 loan, you can transformatively do something, most likely something that you're really passionate about. Worst case, you fail at it and have the entire lessons of how to never do that again, how to,
right.
And how to do it right the next time. And so, yeah, I just think, however, lots of great relationships and scenarios and educations come out of going to college also. So it's not to say there's a right answer for everyone.
It depends on who you are. Yeah.
But I think in America, we're given this one, like, cookie cutter possibility you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I do think there's too much pressure on kids to go to college right out of high school.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
I wish I didn't, honestly.
Right. Also, who's the only people responsible enough at 18 to do that are, like, complete nerds. Like, that's true. The only, like, at 18, you are it's almost like you're trying to climb two separate mountains at the same time. It's like, I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to learn how to drink. I'm trying to make as new friends in a new location. You're trying to do all these new things. I'm trying to stay up all night. I'm finding all this new music. Yeah, we're going to Vermont to my roommate's house, and then simultaneously you're trying to get an education to get a degree.
Yeah.
It's like they're conflicting goals.
Yep.
Whereas if you do that when you're like 24 and you had like a baby, you're going to take that shit a lot more seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember having classes with people that were in situations like that, where they either like joined the military right out of high school or like did something that they were starting their degree later. And I always found those guys were taking that way more seriously. They were the ones up late studying, like really like front row, like knowing every answer every time. Those are the people who knew how the world worked. They'd been out there. Now they're back. Like, this is a skill I'm going to learn. I'm going to come in here and learn it. So, and that's, I guess to your point, you were saying it's really about passion. And I think because you can fail and you can succeed, but you got to try something. And if you're trying something that you don't love, you could still fail at it. And why would you fail at something you didn't even love? So it's kind of weird to even waste time like that. So if people know, like, I want to do business, I want to do engineering or something, like, you can totally go to college. Like you were saying, there's nothing wrong with that. But
Right.
But if you do feel that there's some passion that maybe you could pursue and not have to take that big loan, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if you are going to take the big loan, like, hopefully you're one of those people, like you said, who I fucking love engineering. I have been drawing bridges for all of high school. Like, if that's you, I don't know if there's a better place on earth for you than a college that teaches you that at that age when you're passionate and, or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think college, I think the education and the experience of college is fantastic. I just think the debt attached to it is a insane risk, especially at 18. I don't know about you guys, but I went to college to be a communications major, which is just me picking one by default.
Me too. That was my first major.
Oh my God. Okay. Changed to a graphic design major.
Okay.
I transferred a year later and then changed to an English major. This is $70,000 later, it's like, what a stupid fucking
right.
It's
spending all this money to just like kind of try to figure out what you want to do. It doesn't make any sense.
Like, a 30-year-old isn't going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to get like a year into something and be like, man, I think I want to do this.
Right.
Fucking A, dude. Like, it's just, especially in America, man, it's just that's not the age to do that. In a way, it's like, I think we need to normalize going to college when you're old, going to college.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So yeah, I'm glad that's the quote you dug up and not like some other crazy shit I said.
Oh no.
You're like, can you answer about this tweet from 2010, sir?
Yeah, right.
Oh, shit.
About to get you canceled.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just go scrub those before we post this episode. People are gonna
please. Yeah, no. People try to cancel me. No, the WEEI sports fanboys of old men try to cancel me every now and then. But that's the only people who've ever tried to cancel me. They're like, oh, they're digging up my old tweets and I can't believe you said this. They're like digging up all my old tweets or whatever.
Oh man. And
it never works because I was never like, you can't cancel me if I wasn't like in with you to begin with. Like,
right.
Like, I don't even know you, like, I didn't, cool, I'm canceled.
You don't get to decide if I'm canceled, right?
Yeah. It's like canceling me in some country I've never heard of. It's like, all right, well, I wasn't going there anyway.
Yeah, that's the glory of social media. Everyone thinks that they're the ones being heard.
Yeah. Everyone's got a voice now.
Fucking sucks.
Yep. We'll let you go soon, but I just got a couple more things.
Yeah, no, give it to me, man.
The children's book, Pinecone Pete is not impressed.
Yeah, I made a book. Well, so you said the album in a day, the app,
I'm getting all your creative ventures here.
Pete.
Yeah.
So the reason for those truly is that I've got, ideas and I want to follow through on them and I like experiencing new things. Each of those is a new thing I've never done before. But each of them is connected to an album, each one. So the app was Good Luck With Your Life, the album in a day was the album in a day, and the Pinecone Pete was We All Got Lost, which is my last album. And my basic thought behind that is that I really want people to know my music. I really want more people to know about my music. And so I don't believe making good music is enough. And so I try to do something extra, especially in Maine, where it's very easy to manipulate the media to talk about you. Where if you do anything, it's newsworthy. Like if I, I could probably throw this book at the Dunkin' Donuts window and I would be on the news.
What's the funniest thing that's gotten you in the news?
Oh man. I mean, I got several. One of the most funny thing that's ever got me in the news was I said on my song, The King of Maine, that I got Susan Collins giving everyone's brain.
Yep.
The senator. I said I got Susan Collins.
I remember you got backlash for that.
I said I got Susan Collins sucking everyone's dicks, and and they put it in this some other like group who I don't know. Well, I like know this guy, but I don't know why he did this. He runs like a production company, and he was making a video documenting the person who's running against Susan Collins in the senatorial race. This guy, Mike Mishu. And so they made a video for him, and they put in my song, the part where I say, I got Susan Collins giving everyone brain. And it becomes this like political like firestorm. It's on like CNN's calling me, and like NPR's calling me, and like,
oh man,
you know, and it was so that was stupid. That was hilarious. That was awesome.
What was the inspiration behind that bar? You're not a Susan Collins fan, obviously.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm not really like actually physically forcing any old women to give blowjobs, but
yeah, I didn't think so.
In the song, I have the artistic freedom to say,
of course,
as the king of Maine, I decree that I'm wearing this, you know, I got a seagull, you know, I got whatever on my chain, you know, I'm driving in the plow truck. I got the
wearing a sealskin jersey to the Sea Dogs game.
I'm wearing sealskin. I'm killing a seal and wearing its body to the minor league baseball game. And I'm getting Susan Collins, the senator, the old lady senator, to suck everyone's dick. That's what I said in the hook. And so they didn't like that. But
I
the
can
best
see why
part,
that bothered people.
Yeah, it was great. Well, it was just awesome when that happened. And then, because all press is good press, you know, it's all great until you're like, unless you're like Louis C.K. It's like, that's like the cutoff. Like if you pull your dick out and jerk off in front of people who don't want to see it, that's the line.
That's the line right there.
Yeah.
If you do it in front of people who do want to see it, that's on this side of the line.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
There's just a line right there.
Area.
Yeah. And so that time was funny. I was in the news because I got robbed on tour one time.
Oh, in St. Louis, I remember that. You lost a whole album, right?
Yeah, I ended up finding the demos and released it as the stolen album it's on Bandcamp and cassette, but
right.
Yeah, I lost my whole laptop. My laptop had all my albums and my backup hard drives were in the backpack. So yeah, pretty grim. I've been on the news. I mean, when we did the album in a day, we were all over the news. They were like, we're local musicians, Spose, you know, assembles all-star cast in Wyndham to, you know, miracle out. We were in the paper, you know. I mean, I was on the news for marching in a protest, you know. It was like, just too easy.
Yeah, they're just covering you.
Well, when you're the king of Maine.
Talk about.
That makes sense.
You gotta talk about the king of Maine. No.
Yeah, when you're the king of Maine, everything's newsworthy, I guess.
Well, so hopefully I you know, my next move stirs up some news. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, I'm always trying to grow the fan base. But you know, at this point, I'm trying to focus less on that, which is kind of all I've focused on for the past like 10 years. And maybe the reason I did the app and the children's book and the album in a day in a way. And so I'm trying to get away from that and get kind of to I just had fun at making this song, you know, and I love playing this song, you know, for my friends, from my kids. Love this song, you know,
getting back to your roots.
Yeah. And so so I'm just trying. I mean, I even have a song on the new album that's called, you know, close to me. You know, that's the hook. I'm just trying to get close to me, you know, closer to the real me.
Because all you need is you.
Because all you need is you.
You know.
God damn.
I thought of that song earlier when I was asking about rappers from Maine, because the dude at the hardware store, Pleasure Pete.
You know him? Yeah, Pleasure Pete.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
He's from Maine, right?
He's from New Hampshire. He's from Manchester.
Oh, he's from New Hampshire. Okay.
No. He's from Nashua, New Hampshire.
Okay.
He'd be offended if I said he was from Manchester. Not that I don't know if Nashua was better, but Decap, the producer, is from Nashua too.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Pete.
Big shout.
Yeah, we can let you go. This has been long.
You got one more question? You don't have to skip it if you got it.
Oh, and you got anything?
Who is your favorite rapper in the New England area? And who's your least favorite rapper?
Oh my God.
In the New
No. We're not doing this.
See, here's the thing. Jack likes to think that that's a fun question, but then when I ask it, he just makes me sound like the biggest asshole ever. Real
I
talk
love
though,
the
who is like
aspect
your
of it.
favorite in the area?
My favorite rapper in New England. Wow, that's a good one. I gotta list a few.
Yeah, give us the top 5. Yeah.
I really like Annoyed from
Oh,
Connecticut.
Annoyed's so good.
I really like
is.
Annoyed. I think I love Jay-Z, so I love Annoyed. I love the lyricism. I love I love it. Yeah, I love Annoyed. I love Shane Rise. I'm a big Shane Rise fan. I always listen to Shane Rise.
I was talking to him recently. We're trying to get him on the podcast. Hopefully soon.
I hope you do. I'll listen,
Yeah.
man. I like Shane Rise. Man, all my friends. I'm always inspired to hear my friends rap.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody I know. I'll try to go outside of the people I fuck with though.
Sarah Violet.
Yeah, shout out Sarah. I mean, J-Spin. I love J-Spin.
J-Spin's awesome.
I mean, Cam Grove's been inspiring me since I was rapping in 2000.
Yeah. So you and Cam Groves, are you the same age? Did you go to school together?
Cam Groves is the grade above me.
Okay.
At Wells. Yeah. And
Okay.
so we're always in the same at Wells from 5th grade to 8th to graduate high school. He graduated a year before me, but yeah, I always looked up to Cam. I was trying to impress Cam. I was trying, it's Cam. I would run, but when Cam and his homies like embraced me in high school, because I achieved coolness to the point where you could hang out with the older kids, or whatever at the party, and go hang out with them during the week or whatever. Which was it was a big deal. I was trying to impress Cam. I was trying to impress Casey Mack. I was trying to get, I was trying to like hook up with like senior girls, like trying to get there,
Yeah.
Legendary.
Yeah,
Some legendary stuff in high school.
Yeah. I was trying to do that, and so yeah, and so obviously all those MCs, from Maine, I love Pete, Pleasure Pete, you mentioned, I love. But Annoyed from Connecticut, I'm always impressed and happy for Chris Webby.
Yeah.
I think he's far exceeded everyone's expectations, and Chris Webby's fucking crazy paid off his music, man. It is stupid the amount of money Chris Webby gets off his music. It is unbelievable, man. And that's a big shout out to him and his persistence and his team and all those guys. And man, who else? Lots of OGs from, obviously I'm inspired to see Token and Joyner Lucas, succeed. I'm inspired to see even like Millie's, succeed.
Yeah.
Or what's that chick Bia, or like
Millie's he's been doing a lot.
Chick Beans.
Yeah.
With a Z, Beans, her? She was on like the
Yeah. She was wait, is she from Boston?
I think so. I think she's from Massachusetts.
Wait, she faced Flawless Real Talk.
She's the one who battled. She's the one who battled Flawless Real Talk on that show. Yeah, I think.
Okay. Yeah. She's good. And then Terminology. I mean, for me, the big inspiring
Terminology
thing.
is a legend.
The big inspiring thing for me is seeing people from around here push it in new directions, to take it further than it's been. Joyner Lucas doing an album with like Chris Brown, as much as fuck Chris Brown, is like is a new level for people from New England.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we can achieve that. It's and so it's all inspiring to me. But
I can't help but think of the woke up Ray Rice and Chris Brown died bar. But
fuck domestic abusers, man.
Yeah,
I've been
right.
on that tip since day one. And so all those dudes inspire me. But so my favorite rapper from New England, I guess, outside, I really like Annoyed. Annoyed's probably my favorite rapper right now from outside. But additionally, I also got to shout out Mr. Liff and Acrobatic. And
yes, the Perceptionist.
The Perceptionist. Going down to see Mr. Liff when he was on Def Jux and he did the Emergency Rations album. I went down to that CD release show, and there was like Edan, I think Aesop Rock was there. Also, it was like it was at Axis in Boston, which closed shortly after that, soon after that, I think. And that show, I was maybe 15 or so, around the time we were doing the Frothy Four, and that really made me fall in love with hip hop. There was like ciphers in the crowd. This is a big show for me. And so shout out to Mr. Liff and Acrobatic and them for, showing me you could play Axis, you could do this cool underground hip hop thing on the Def Jux level, which to us in high school was like Odd Future or whatever, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
being 15 on a real stage, like with a crowd, I can't. In my
Oh, I wasn't on stage. I was just a fan. I was just at the
Oh,
show.
even
I was
still,
just in the crowd enjoying it. But I I was on stage. I kind of didn't answer your first question about the band. I was on stage, in front of people in high school a couple times, only like small crowds, but it is very exciting and nerve wracking, even when it's like the first like 5 people, So once you do get to that whole nightclub full of people, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That environment's just a totally different thing. And we've said that before, like the 5 people in front of you, even though it's a smaller crowd, makes you more anxious than a big crowd because that big crowd's like a different animal. You don't have to look at people in the eye. It's like
you're not focused on like one person, like it's just a sea of people.
Yeah, I'll try to say this real quick, but Dave Gutter from the Rustic Overtones, whenever he plays a show, the fewer the people are at the show, the better he plays. Like he's incredible. He's incredible if the venue's sold out, obviously. But if there's like 6 people there, he's performing like the show of his life because he's like, fuck this. He's like pissed that there's not enough people there.
Right.
I'm going to melt their brains just to spite them. It's like, you're pissed, I love it.
That is
all right,
great.
man.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. This is awesome.
Thank you. This was unbelievable. Thank you for taking the time.
I'm going to go check in and see how bad the Celtics were doing.
I'm sure they lost. I haven't even.
Looks like Bianca Andreescu won, so that's good.
Celts lost by 5, 113 to 108.
Seriously?
Yeah. Luka had 36 points.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right. I'm not watching
first.
Yeah. So
not watching it now.
It saved you the time.
Oh, was it recorded?
Wait, you recorded it?
I was going to watch it. Yeah. But I'm glad you just saved me. It would have been an hour and a half.
I did. I saved
I'm like,
you.
well,
I'm sorry.
You're having a game,
I am so sorry, but yeah.
Oh man. Well,
Boston's big 3. You don't even care. No, all right, man. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Content. Thank you.
Busy Spose.
Peace.